Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
This story was sent to me by several people, including Scott, Stephen, and Mark Phillip. And this is one of those things. We hear stories all the time about people who claim to have a disability of some sort, and they're involved in some kind of litigation that involves that disability. And they'll get caught doing something they couldn't actually do if they were disabled as they said they were. And so I've seen stories before on, different TV shows and so on where they talk about where they caught somebody claiming they were totally disabled, and meanwhile they're at the gym, bench pressing 9,000 pounds. and you go, okay, I don't think they're completely disabled if they can do that. And so here's one that is so remarkable because of what this person did to get caught. And it's comical on several levels. And it's right in the headline. Woman loses 650,000 pound claim. We're talking about British pounds. 650,000 pound claim after being pictured winning a Christmas tree throwing contest. So now, there are these wacky contests all over the place. I've heard of cell phone throwing contests. I've heard of wife carrying contests. There's apparently a Christmas tree throwing contest, and this woman won the contest. Okay, that's how good she is at throwing Christmas trees, which I admit, I've never tried to throw a Christmas tree, at least not very far. So this is from the Telegraph. A woman who tried to claim 760,000 euros in damages for injuries she suffered in a car crash lost her case after she was pictured winning a Christmas tree throwing contest. The woman's 36 years old said she was left with a disabling condition following an accident in February of 2017 when the vehicle she was in was hit from behind. She had sued the insurance company on the basis that she could not work for more than 5 years, play with her children, or carry out basic chores because of constant back and neck pain. So she's saying that it's been 5 years and she hasn't been able to work when she made the claim. Now, this is happening in Ireland, by the way. So this is not happening in Ohio or any place in the U.S. But she says that this has been going on and she got constant back and neck pain. Now, the Irish High Court was shown a photo in a national newspaper of her hurling a spruce tree January 8th, 2018, and they pulled that out during her hearing. Now, again, this is not something where somebody had to go sit in the bushes with a telephoto lens for 3 weeks to catch a glimpse of. She did this in a contest in public. Her photograph was taken and published in a national newspaper. She argued that while she may have looked happy in the pictures from the charity event, she was still suffering from her injuries and endured pain then and to this day. But the judge threw out the case and remarked that the very graphic picture of her tossing the tree had helped her make the decision, referring to the judge. The Irish Independent reported the judge as saying it is a very large, natural Christmas tree, and it is being thrown by her in a very agile movement. I'm afraid I cannot but conclude the claims were entirely exaggerated. On that basis, I propose to dismiss the claim. Now, the woman here who's been tossing the Christmas trees, sounds like a euphemism, but it's not. The woman here is a mother of two. She told doctors her injuries were so severe after the accident, she could not lift a heavy bag without feeling shooting pain. She said there were times when her husband had to bring medication to her in bed because of her pain. She quit her job following the crash and took disability payments, writing in court documents that her past and future loss of earnings amounted to some 427,000 pounds. But the court heard that just a few days before she'd informed doctors of her condition, she had finished top in the charity Christmas tree throwing event. So she's at this charity Christmas tree throwing event. She wins the thing, and then 3 days later she had her doctor going, I'm disabled. During the hearing, some footage was also submitted in evidence from November of last year that showed her training her large dog in a park for more than an hour. She denied the suggestion that she'd faked her injuries, telling the court she was simply trying to live a normal life. Her case was dismissed after the judge ruled her activities following the crash were completely at odds with the medical evidence she had given of her injuries. So I don't know procedurally if this happened at the equivalent of a trial or at a pretrial motion. I'm not even sure if in this setting she's entitled to a trial. I'm not sure. It sounds like she was suing the insurance company, and they went to court. And the insurance company said, hey, look, based on the activities we can prove she's taken part in, she's nowhere near as injured as she claims she is. Now, some people are probably going to ask and go, wait a second, though. What if she's just a real trooper and she is in just debilitating, excruciating pain, and she throws that tree with a grin on her face, but deep down she's dying inside? What if? And that is, of course, an interesting question, because some courts would say, well, this is a question of fact for a jury to decide. Generally speaking, juries decide facts, courts decide law. Now, of course, there's situations where you can waive the jury, in which case the court decides both. But a fact question usually is what we say is reserved for the jury. So could hypothetically, a jury look at her and go, okay, you got her pitching Christmas trees and you got her walking a gigantic dog, and yet she claims she's so disabled that she can't even get to the kitchen to get her medicine. Which is it, or is it possible these are somehow compatible? And a jury could theoretically say it's possible. It's possible. Maybe she has an explanation. Maybe one day it's good, one day it's bad, whatever. But the real problem you have is that if you are seriously injured, and you're trying to recover, because presumably you'd like to get better, would you enter a Christmas tree throwing contest? Okay? Because that would indicate that either you don't think you're hurt that bad, or you ain't hurt at all, right? And neither of those makes sense with the claims that she's making, according to the court. And so what the court appears to be actually saying here is the bulk of this case boils down to whether or not she's telling the truth about her disability. Now, presumably you could bring in doctors, and a doctor could say, I examined her. I think she's disabled. I think she's in excruciating pain. But on cross-examination, you get to then hold up the photograph and go, doctor, have you seen this photograph? If I told you that photograph was taken on this date, within so many days of you seeing her, do you think that being able to throw a Christmas tree and win a contest, with that look on your face where you're smiling, does that comport with being as severely injured as you just testified that she was? And I have a sneaky feeling the doctor's going to go, I didn't see this picture till just now. Because, yeah, that would change my opinion. And so the court, I think, if you asked for a really good legal definition here, the court is basically saying that credibility-wise, the chief witness here has no credibility. And because of that, with the entire case resting on her testimony, she's got no case. That's what the court is saying. Can she appeal this? Probably. Will an appeals court reinstate it? I can see an appeals court actually reinstating it, saying, well, you have a question of fact. On the one hand, you have her throwing Christmas trees on this day, and you've got her on this day saying she's in pain. Is it possible those are both true? Is it possible? And maybe a jury could decide that. But I think most people are going to say this is not exactly a slam dunk winner. And so if someone came into my office, and I don't do personal injury work, and said, hey, I'm disabled. I got doctors who'll tell you this. I got medical records that'll show this. The crash was horrible. I'll show you photographs of the wrecked car. Oh my gosh, I'm in pain right now. I go, okay, sounds like an interesting case. If you then said, oh, by the way, though, 3 days ago, I won a Christmas tree throwing contest, and my picture was taken and appeared in national newspapers. I would then say, I'm very sorry, but I can't take your case. And when you said, do you know anybody who might? I'd think to myself, okay, do I know any attorneys right now I could play a joke on? No. I'd be like, I'm not really sure, but just go on the internet and Google it and flip through a phone book if you still have one of those and see what pops up. But Scott, Stephen with the PH, and Mark Phillip, thanks for sending it from the Telegraph. Woman loses a 650,000 pound injury claim after being pictured winning a Christmas tree throwing contest. And that's the real kicker here, is what a frivolous thing to be doing to lose your big claim. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Every man's work, whether it be literature or music, pictures or architecture, or anything else, is always a portrait of himself.